So, what is the First Aid at Work Act? The Health and Safety First Aid at Work regulations was formed in 1981 and applies to all workplaces in Great Britain, including those that have less than 5 employees, and to the self-employed as well. The Health and Safety First Aid at Work regulations set out the essential aspects of first aid that employers have to address. The Health and Safety First Aid at Work Act ensures that workplace environment have the proper equipment needed for first aid, so that in the case of an employee getting injured or sick, they're able to receive the first aid immediately. For minimum low-risk workplaces, such as small offices, the office should have a proper first aid box and a person appointed to take charge of first aid arrangements. This would be things such as calling the ambulance and the emergency services, if necessary. Employers must provide information about the first aid arrangements to employees. Naturally, workplaces that have a higher and more significant risk of injury and illness, such as mines, are more likely to need a trained first aider. This first aider must have gotten proper first aid qualifications, allowing them to advise the employers with first aid arrangements that are appropriate to the workplace. And by doing this, they would have made an assessment of the risk in the workplace area. So, the influences of first aid at work on school sports and sports in the community. The First Aid at Work Act has a big influence on school sports, and sports in the community, because whilst taking part in sports, the risk of injury and illness is very high. To prevent the risk of any student or teacher or athlete from getting any serious injuries, there should always be first aid. In schools, teachers have the responsibility to take care of students, and so each teacher has the proper first aid qualifications that is renewed every 2 to 3 years. First aid boxes can also be found all over the school, in places such as the gym, weights room, and also in science rooms and design technology rooms. When taking students on trips that are off-site from the school, teachers are obliged to bring a first aid packet with them in case of any injuries. For sports in the community, first aid is also very influential. To become a coach of any sport, you're made to have proper first aid training. This also helps reduce the risk of people getting very serious injuries. For any large sports competition, such as running races and cycling races, the event organizers must always set up a first aid station that can be accessed easily with a proper first aider. Because with so many people taking part in competitive sports together, the risk of injury is very high. An organization that you will see providing first aid assistance at events very commonly is the St. John's Ambulance in Hong Kong.